Hey there! Welcome back to Rat Tales, episode 2. Today we have Mod Azanna. Rat Tales is the podcast slash interview kind of thing where I interview different JMods and RuneScape content creators and just get to know them, ask some community questions, and just have a fun time with it. Anyways, do you want to give like a short just intro for like who you are, what you do?
Hi folks, I'm Mod Azanna. I am a CM on the RuneScape team. I do a lot of different things. I guess is the best way I could put that.
Yeah, worth mentioning. I didn't know you were a community manager when I reached out to you for the interview because I was talking to 4D on Discord and they just
What
said
did
like
you think I was?
I have no idea. I no, because like I don't know what every like JMod
True.
position is.
Yeah, true, true.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, this is the guy who's in charge of the newsletter." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I sent you a message and then I was like, "Hey, can you put this the first episode of the podcast up?" And I asked you to be on because I'm like, I plan on interviewing like as many JMods as possible. I like no matter like what the position.
Yeah.
And I think I found out last week or something after we set the date. And I told my
Fair.
community and they're like, "Oh, you have a community manager. That's huge." And I'm like, "Huh?"
Yeah, yeah. You do have one of these questions later on. Is like, what's the difference between myself and Doom's role? And that's kind of like that's part of it.
Yeah.
He's an awful lot more the face of things, and I do stuff like behind the scenes to make sure things are like happening and running and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there is an element of a lot of people know Doom as a community manager because they see him all the time, but they don't see me all the time unless they're in like specific places.
So, well, like speaking of, right? So, like what is your position and everything? Like what does your job consist of?
My job consists of whatever they need me to do on that day. So that changes up every time, but consistently there is stuff like looking after blogs, making sure Twitter is done every week to like get updates on that. It's a lot of consulting on things that are happening throughout the week and that are happening in the community and stuff. A lot of monitoring of what's going on. A lot of just kind of keeping tabs on a lot of different things. Like today was having chats with Hooli and Doom about upcoming stuff that's happening so that we could like flag things that were like, oh, this is happening, so let's make sure this also happens. Then I spent a chunk of the day actually playing through parts of the upcoming quest just so I'd understand better about it. So because I was working on writing up the news post, which is like still in the works. Then there was the community Discord stage, so I was monitoring that, taking part in that, making sure that that was happening. While there was a couple of like meetings and emails and stuff going on. So it's a lot of like spinning various different plates at all times, and then diving into like general community things like keeping up with what's happening on the Discord, what's happening in the Reddit, what's happening with content creators and stuff. That's kind of like a little bit of everything is my role generally.
Okay, so it's really just like to generally just be like tuned in to like whatever is needed to be done, you'll do it, and then more of like a community aspect with like the Discord and everything. I'm assuming you're like the JMod with the most involvement in the Discord. I think.
Technically, yes.
Okay.
So with the RS3 Discord, it's not I was told, oh, you go handle that. It was just I was doing things there, and it makes no sense for me to be involved in it as I am already doing all these things with it. So like Doom still does a bunch of stuff with it, Hooli does stuff with it when like things pop up, but generally like day to day things is usually myself, or it's quickest for me to do it because I already am embedded in the ideas.
Okay. And you're obviously like you work on RS3 and not so much OSRS.
Yeah. Um, I don't basically I don't work on a OSRS at all, but like because of our game's kind of synergies, there is like it is always important and useful for me to be aware of what's happening over there
Mhm.
because it bleeds back and forth and it helps us understand what's going on as well. So there's always an element of like keeping an eye out on the OSRS news posts and stuff like that, and chatting to that team about what's happening on their end.
I was gonna ask like what your day to day looks like, but I think you pretty much like covered it in what your position is. But what do you so like what's your favorite part about what you do?
My favorite part of a lot of the things I do is seeing the impact it has to a lot of different people. There are people in the community, people who resonate with a lot of stuff that just I see them like light up when new things and new information and like their engagement and involvement and things is happening, and it's infectious, so it just kind of like leaks in, and that's oftentimes some of the best stuff. Like seeing the community coming together to like do things like there was the Easter parade the other week. They like organized this big parade of just getting everybody together to have fun, and just being a part of that and being able to help like enable and shape these kind of things is just it's really fun for me personally. My least enjoyable part of my job personally for me is note taking, I guess is the best way to put it. Is it's like gathering up information and data and keeping it all together in like
Hmm.
spreadsheets and stuff, and keeping it all like keeping track of all of these things that are happening and writing down the processes and the systems, like the kind of like the system admin kind of end of things. That's usually the bit that drives me up the wall, because I'm when I get energy to do something, like my focus like ping pongs between a bunch of different things all the time.
Yeah.
So when I like have to sit down and be like, okay, now I have to sit down and write out this like whole report and this like thing step by step to make sure that it's all there and stuff, and like that's pulling teeth for me. But if you ask me to like micromanage through a blog and stuff, it's like that's fine. I can do that all afternoon.
Yeah,
But
it's a lot of
it's
like what you're passionate about doing versus like, well, time to look through data.
yeah, like data is surprisingly not the worst bit, because I love seeing the statistics and the numbers and like how things are playing out and understanding where like it's going up and down and it's because of this and that and the other. That's fun and interesting to me. But then like trying to write that down in a way where it's like like quantifying it in a way is like it's pulling teeth sometimes.
Moving away from like your job a bit and more into you, what would you say your like uh favorite thing is that you get to do every day? It doesn't necessarily have to be about work or anything. It's just like what do you look forward to on a day to day? What gets you out of bed?
What gets me out of bed is having to get out of bed, but playing games pretty much my entire life, that has been my thing. It's taken me quite a long while to recognize and understand that I do work in the games industry. That was always a kind of strange thing to me when it kind of trickled down, because previously, prior to this role, I had used to work as like player support in a different game entirely. So, and I didn't quite like feel like I was working in game like the games industry at that moment either, and it's still something I'm getting used to. But outside of playing games, generally it's probably hanging out with my cats. One of them is like wandering in the background right now.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to see if he can come
the
over, but he
blur
won't.
of like black that like
Uh,
moves around, I think.
yeah, I was trying to convince him to come over, but he's not interested. But yeah, no, so in between, like generally, if like I had a week off there the other week, and what I spent most of it doing was playing Baldur's Gate, Stardew, and a few other things, just because I had the free time to do them again, and that is like what I would do to unwind, I guess.
I'm guessing like your favorite like hobby is like just gaming.
Generally, yeah.
Respectable. Um, so what if you could have any job, right? Like your dream job, your dream like day to day and stuff like that. What would it look like for you?
I don't rightly know, to be honest, because I love this job. This job has been so fulfilling in so many ways, but I can't lie and say there hasn't been days when I've just been like, I just want to be done. Let me go to bed. I'm done. So there is like an up and down of that. If I could distill my current job down into only the good days, that would be perfect. I'd love that. I don't think that's reasonable to ever ask of anybody, but I have a weird enjoyment of being part of the community and being seeing things happening and being like building on that and going further. So I'm pretty content with where I am right now. Like I know a lot of people would be happier doing things that either like get them paid more or get them like accolades or something like that, and that doesn't quite appeal to me, because a lot of the time I just really want my bills paid and like to be doing something that I feel is helping others, and that's kind of where this lands for me personally.
You mentioned games earlier.
Mhm.
What is it that like if you had to like go back to it at any time? What's your favorite game?
On paper, my favorite game is XCOM 2. That
Real
is on,
XCOM, really? Okay.
yeah. Um, but there's a lot of different like if I had to pick a game based on like which games I've played the most, it's like WoW took years of my life. League of Legends took years of my life.
The
Like
classics, okay.
the classics, the classics. Um, but XCOM 2 has just been such a wonderful game that I would happily like. A friend of mine asked me the other day a question about it because he was like wondering about how a mod worked, and because he talked about it, I had like the pullback to be like, oh, do you want to start another run? And I'm just like, no, I am playing other things. I don't need to do another XCOM run. But it's still in the back of my mind, like, yeah, no, I could play XCOM again. So it's just right up there as my favorite game, I guess.
hmm I mean that's fair. I definitely hear you for like League and games like that. I the League addiction is strong. I have to like uninstall that game to like get away from it.
Ah, just have willpower, man. I play League sporadically, so um, I play games in a way that I like to call an orbital player. I don't often like pick a game and commit to it, and that's the only game I'll ever play until I get bored or something like that. Usually, I'll play a game until there starts being a bit of friction, and then I'll bounce off it for a bit, play something else. And so games like League, that works kind of well for me because I'll play for a few weeks when like the season starts, or if there's like it's getting close to the end of the season, I want to have a ranked reward. I want to show off a bit. I'll play League for a bit. But like anytime I start feeling like really frustrated with it, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna bounce out and I'm gonna go do go play some RuneScape for a while, or go like a current one for me right now is I'm back playing WoW for a bit because they announced the meta achievement for the overall expansion. So there's a lot of like a checklist of things I could get done. So that's where I'm like, and as soon as that starts to annoy me, I'm a like probably go back to playing Stardew or go back to playing like I started up another Baldur's Gate 3 run the other day. So
Okay, yeah. No, for me it's definitely like it, it's like the like addiction kind of gameplay where it's like I will spend 14 hours today playing League of Legends. And like the only reason I would have opened up the game in the first place is cuz I think like, "Oh, like what do I want to do?" And I look at my games and I'm like, "Oh, whatever." But then I look at League and it's like, "Oh, I can just jump into a game." And then it loops me in.
that is a surprisingly astute thing because that is kind of what a lot of games try to do these days is just like
Yeah, yeah.
give you like 15 to 35 minutes of gameplay in a kind of match or a setting, and then hope that you want another one of those when you get to the end of that one so you don't like bounce off and go elsewhere, because it's like to turn around to somebody and say, oh, to make any progress in what you wanted to do today, you got to sit down for like at least 8 hours, just 8 hours, please.
Yeah.
It's like hard, and so I can only personally do it. There's some single player games that I absolutely love, but I'm like I have to put mental time aside to do that. Like I played through God of War Ragnarok, and I wanted to do the DLC for some time, but I just kind of was like, I wouldn't be doing it right if I didn't give it some time. So
Yeah,
like I
for
sat
sure.
down a weekend to play it. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's a lot of games like Elden Ring. I've been really into recently and I've been playing a
Cool.
lot and it's like yeah, I can play this game, but I don't want to get stuck at a boss for like 2 hours and have to try really hard to like learn all the patterns and all that stuff to get past it and it's like oh
Ah,
it's like I
just
could just
just
play League of Legends and get mad at my teammates and be bad at a game.
yeah. No, I would very strongly recommend playing through Elden Ring if you haven't, especially with the
Oh,
DLC on the
yeah, yeah.
way.
I started a run a few weeks ago. I think I'm like 40 hours in. I'm doing a full strength build with the gut sword. It's very fun. It's
The
it's
the
very fun.
classic, the
Oh
classic.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
I
no,
my favorite part is just like you stamina break enemies and it's just you keep going. It's like you just face tank them, keep hitting them, and
yeah,
eventually either you die or their stamina breaks and you get to deal
yeah.
half their HP.
It's rock paper scissors, and you choose rock every time, and one out of three times you're gonna be damn right. And
Exactly.
it's it's very fun. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
my my girlfriend was recently, she was leveling up another character and needed a hand with Moog, so I had to go like dust off a level like 150 character to just so we could like beat Moog really quickly so she'd be ready for the DLC. Because like trying to do that at low levels was just pain.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. I like what is it? I just finished beating Morgoth. I didn't know he was there. I'm playing the game blind. I didn't know that was the thing. I beat the I forgot the
Such a
name.
good reveal.
Oh yeah, no, like I beat up the guy who's like made of gold, and I was like, this fight's too easy. Like I did on like my
Bad
second try. I'm like, this was too easy. He didn't even have a second phase. There's no way this was the final area boss. You walk past the bridge, you walk into the next area, and it's just like,
Oh yeah, now you
hello.
walk up those stairs and you go, oh yeah, no, this is a boss area. Hold on.
Yeah, and he starts
Yeah,
it, and he's like, everyone you beat, all those greater runes you got, bitches,
trash.
bitches. Me,
Yeah.
I'll beat you to death.
The best bit is because you had fought him previously. It is his like like his baby form where he was having a bit of fun with you. You
Yeah,
go in there overconfident and he slaps you. He
yeah.
just like there's no way he doesn't slap you the first time round.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's Morgoth, whatever. Like, I beat like you were an easy fight earlier. You can't be that much stronger. And then he goes to second form and cuts you in half, and you're like, ah,
Yep.
now I understand.
Yeah, I would definitely suggest anyone who is interested in enjoyable action combat to play through Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, it deserves its Game of the Year status.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's for the people who are like, oh, I don't like this game because it's Souls like. I don't like Souls like game. It's the most fair Souls like game I've ever played because it's open world. If you are stuck somewhere, just go somewhere else, level up, get stronger, explore another part of the gigantic map, and then just come back.
Yep. Bring friends. It's absolutely fine.
Yep. Like play however you want, and it's very fun. The builds are so fun. The different
Yeah.
builds.
I was just gonna say it's a surprising thing that if you think about RuneScape and Elden Ring at the same time, you don't think there's an awful lot of crossover, but there is a kind of energy of gatekeeping that both of them get of, oh no, if you're playing like this, you're playing wrong and you should
Yeah.
be playing like this. That happens in both games basically all the time. And the real
hmm
answer is play the however the hell you want. It's absolutely fine. Enjoy the games the way you enjoy the games.
hmm So speaking of RuneScape, do you actually play RuneScape? Because I know not all JMods play the game to like the same level, and some I've heard like don't even play it.
So I would say I probably play it like in the lower brackets than a lot of the players. Like Doom plays more than me.
hmm
Like there's constant chats in the work like Slack where people are talking about like things they've finished or like just which grind they finished or like did they like get a good drop or something like that. That comes up quite often, and I'm like down here in the like babies early game zones of things because I play sporadically. I like jump
hmm
in, like when a quest comes out, I'll jump in and I'll like make some more progress towards it. Like a lot of the time I won't be able to like straight away jump into a thing because I haven't gone out of my way to do all of these requirements and grinds and stuff. I'll like but as soon as one pops up that I'm like, I would want to do this. I want this item. I want this thing. And then I go do that. And for the next like 2 weeks, I'm just playing RuneScape trying to get to those requirements to get there. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like that's what happens with me a lot of the time. And then like I bounce off it for 2 weeks and come back. And
I
that's
think
like
I think that's the most fun way to play it, honestly, is like set those like small goals for yourself and just work towards them. That's how I've had the most fun so far, is just being like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. And then like you
yeah.
do it, and then when you're done, you're like, I did it. I did my
Yeah.
thing.
I don't I don't see myself enjoying the game very much if my goal is to like if the goal I have to get to is like so far in the future that I
Yeah.
have to like that doesn't that doesn't spark joy for me. So I prefer a kind of smaller stepping stones version of things. And to some people that's like inefficient and boring, but
Yeah.
I don't mind. Like I know a lot of people who enjoy doing different skills and stuff, but they feel like they can't until they have like all of the pieces of Exodia combined, so they get the
Mm-hmm.
most optimal experience while doing it. Meanwhile, I'm just over here doing divination with no outfit, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I just want 80 div so I can go do invention. That's what I do.
Okay, you might be a bit psychotic for that one, just because
Yes,
divination
no, I
is
am.
divination
I
is like AFK,
so
click two buttons.
to clarify how psychotic I am when it comes to playing games, I actively prefer doing solo ranked in League. So, and like every friend I've had has just been like, that is
That is no,
just
that's
weird.
something. I mean, it makes sense because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want it to be my own merits."
It's not even that. I just hate annoying people, so I like and when I want to play a match of League, it like comes on me randomly, so I just go play one. I don't want to have to like go like text my mates and be like, "Oh, you online? Do you want to play?" I don't want to like spend 10 minutes trying to organize something. I just want to go play the match, and I go play the match, and that's how it works.
Okay, that's fair. If you're playing like one match, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because like
it depends.
yeah, usually
Yeah,
people like the way they play is like, "Oh, I'm gonna play like 4 games of League, lose them all, and lose my mind."
I gotta play one match of League, lose. I gotta play 2 matches of League, lose again. I gotta play 17 matches of League. Is how I've met several of my best friends. Is that attitude of never leaving, ending on a loss is is a dangerous one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not even just not ending on a loss. It's also just like people are like, "Oh, this game was terrible. Like, I did not enjoy it. I'm gonna play another one so I have fun." And it goes back to the mantra of like, win game, feel nothing. Lose game, day ruined.
Yeah, I just, it's it's incredibly weird, and it just goes into the psychosis of like how people play games these days.
Yeah.
There's like a whole aspect of it now, but like the idea that you would willingly keep bouncing yourself off a wall that you are not having fun with and not enjoying out of pride, spite. I don't know what emotion is driving this, and I personally can't agree with it. If I'm not enjoying the game I'm playing and there isn't a reason for me to push past this barrier, I'ma just play something else for a while. We'll come back to it later. I got free time.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean. I definitely would never. I would never play games I don't like constantly.
I have
I
to
haven't.
OPGG you right now just to check to see how full tilt you are.
I may have 3 banned accounts.
How? 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 All you have to do
um.
is not type in chat.
Oh no, you get I get banned for inting. I like there's games
Ah, come
where
on,
people.
that's
Okay, listen. I need to defend myself at least a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
no, there's like games I'll have where like I'm trying to win and everything, and then someone else will flame me, like the whole game, and at some point I'll just snap and be like, "Fuck it, I'm running it down." Like I don't care. I don't care.
no. There's no excuse, man. There is no excuse. That's just bad out. You don't
I
deserve.
should.
It's
I
no.
know.
Trust me. As soon this is me. I go in game. I get first blooded like by top lane Darius or whatever, and my jungler starts like typing. Yeah, I just mute all. Done. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
playing.
I should.
I'm gonna
I've
play out my
started
game. I'm
doing
good.
it. Before I was like, no, I can't mute. It's a sign of weakness. Now I mute. Like now I'm fine. But like before, ooh, ah.
The pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I gotta. It can only be painful. Nah, I'm good, man. I
Yeah,
if I wanted like frustrating gameplay, there are games that are designed for frustrating gameplay. That's I could
yeah,
go
like
play those if I really wanted it. Like I
getting
could play
over it.
getting over it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the classic. It's the class. I bought Getting Over It for my friend because I thought it'd be funny to watch him play it. He beat that game in like 20 minutes.
Yep. There's just some people are built different, and
Dude,
that's how it
I
goes.
no, you don't get it. That made me angry. Like I was mad. I was madder than playing the game. I'm like, no, why the fuck did you get to do this? Like you beat it first try, 20 minutes. You've never played this before.
It's it just clicks with people sometimes. It's
Swear to
terrifying. Like
God.
any of those like jumping games where you have to like climb up like
Shovel Knight.
massively. Nah, not Shovel Knight. Like the what was it? Like I forget the one, but it's like you have to like climb up girders and stuff and jump in the sky and stuff. And I was just like, I have no interest in this at all.
Oh,
I'm gonna go next. Just
go next. I will
it,
say for League, one thing is it has given the most creative insults I've ever seen. Of like, I
go
have
on.
never heard insults like this.
There is an eloquence to some people's ability to find a way to turn even the most innocuous things into absolute like trash tears, like smack talk.
Oh
But
yeah,
nothing beats fighting games. Absolutely nothing beats
that's
fighting
true.
games for. And like if you if you've weak mental, do not go near fighting games.
Oh, I know. No, like I used to play Dragon Ball Fighter Z like very consistently. And the this is back when I was toxic as hell. The fun fact about that game and the reason I stopped playing is because I found out if you alt F4 your game before the match ends, and I mean like you can alt F4 after you've lost, the
Mhm.
opponent won't gain any LP.
Yep. Yep.
And I
That
would
is.
just at some
Yep. There
point
are people
I
who
just
would
started
do
doing it.
exactly that every
Yeah.
time.
It happened to me like 5, 6 games in a row, and I got so mad, and I was like, "Fuck it, you know what? I'll start doing it."
You became what you hated.
Oh yeah, it's like no, okay, I can't gain LP, you can't gain LP. Have fun being stuck at the same rank as me forever.
Yeah. It is again to go into the psyche of people. It's just like how quickly that becomes understanded
Mhm.
norm. Like if you have been watching like league stuff for a while now, there's been a kind of a resurgence of a movement of the idea of never surrendering at the moment, where people are
Mhm.
like, no, play out the game, play it out. If you lose, you lose. That's fine, but play it out because more times than not, you'll win because you're in gold and everybody like every game is like a
Oh no,
barrel
it's
throw away from winning.
I don't think
And
it's that. I think it's just that not surrendering is actually like good. I think
oh,
surrendering is
incredibly.
is actively like terrible for the game because I've been in games where like since they changed the surrender vote this season, now you only need 3 people, I think, to say yes, right?
You need three post 20 minutes,
Yeah, and
I
then
believe.
but at 15, 4 people can surrender the game. And it's so tilting when you're like super ahead and you know you're going to win the game and your team's just like fuck it, we're out and they just like the game just surrenders.
Yep.
And it's like
Yep. Nobody wins in this situation.
yeah, it's like oh my
Nobody's
god.
happy. The enemy team didn't even get a game to play half the time.
Yeah,
Half of
it's
their
like when a
lanes
game
are
ends at 15, it's like well, they had a lead but they didn't even get to like play it. They just played early game.
yeah. It's and the idea that it's the culture of games has kind of come up in a while where that kind of thought process started to manifest in people that no, you should quit early because the most important thing is getting LP. So getting out of bad matchups and into good matchups is more important than just playing out and having fun. And
The way
it's starting to rubber band back now
yeah.
that people are like, no, I'm sick of everything just being about the optimizations. I'm sick of everything
Mhm.
being like, oh, if I'm not getting like it happens in RuneScape all the time where people are just like, oh, I want to go do necromancy or something like that, and it's just like, okay, what should I do? And the suggestions they get is like, okay, sell your soul to the devil, go collect like 10,000 other things, and then come back and start doing
Yeah.
necromancy. And
It's like,
the real answer
actually,
is
you
go
can't
do
do
rituals, have
necromancy
fun.
because you don't have 50,000 regular ink. So it's
Yeah,
actually not optimal.
yeah. Like when the race to the world first was happening and people were using like were doing rituals while spamming spells to gain as much experience as possible in the quickest amount of time. It's like that's interesting when it's come to the idea of a race, but now it's like 6 weeks later, don't need to be doing like unfun things to get experience as quickly as possible. Like it's if you are not enjoying the bit you're doing, move on to something else. And it's something I kind of had to like. I've talked to players about the Easter event we just had, where it's like, oh, I need to get everything in the store. I need it, and it's like You don't want half these, like, you're never going to use half these things because you don't want half of them, but you feel you need to get them for what reason? There's not a collection log saying you need all these things. So, like, go get the things you do care about and then go back to playing the bits you enjoy.
I'm
Like,
I'm
why kill yourself?
definitely guilty of that. Of like, oh, I
Yeah.
want to get every. But
A lot of
the
people are.
reason why like I do it is because it's like, oh, there's an Easter event. I want to get everything for the sense of accomplishment that like I completed the event. The thing is, like for me, this is the same reason I haven't played in 2 3 weeks. I've been taking a break from everything for like mental health and things like that. And like I haven't touched RuneScape in like 3 weeks because I knew the Easter event, and I'm like, I'm not gonna play because if I play for the Easter event, I'm gonna sink into a spiral and I'm gonna focus on it, and I'm only gonna want to do this, and I'm gonna hate myself the whole time because I don't even like want to play that bad.
Yeah. Like, there is elements of it that are, like, more in the control of the player.
Hmm.
Like there's an awful lot to it that goes into it, that is the kind of mental assigning of things. Because at the, like, RuneScape is all about goals. Like, to be like, if you break it down, it's like the goals are the important thing to a lot of players. Yes, there's story, yes, there's accomplishment and achievement and stuff, but a lot of the time it is, what are my goals and how do I get to them, is what most people fall under. And to some people, a goal is only important if it's done everything. And that kind of manifested it into a kind of topic for a lot of people, that they were like, this is the way to play the game. And it's like, but it's not. You can play it differently. Like, I think people have described RuneScape as a sandbox MMO, where it's like, and the idea of a sandbox is you play it your way. So
Yeah.
to hear the idea that it's like, no, you're playing it wrong, is just like, it's like, to loop back to one of your questions, like what frustrates me about the community, it's stuff like that, where there's just this like black and white focus on like optimizations and stuff. And it's like, no, it's like, if you play things for fun, people come talk to me all the time about, like, they would love to do more active skilling things. They enjoy skilling, but they would like it to be the active, engaging, fun things would be like the best thing to do. And it's like, and the big example that comes up is Big Game Hunter.
Hmm.
Is often cited as like, this is super fun, I love doing this. And then they turn around and just kind of go, but it's not best experience, so I hate it. And then I'm just like, I need you to understand that you're playing a game for fun. Why are you not doing the thing you find fun?
I can tell
Like
you
it.
right now, for VGH specifically, nobody
Go
I
on.
know enjoys it.
What?
The
Every
reason
other person.
why, no, the reason why. Okay, this is slightly like changing topics and everything, but so I don't know if you've heard of like the challenge account type Taskman.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
4D's fault. Yeah, it's just 4D's fault. Is what I'm hating right now.
Yeah, basically it's 40's fault.
All right, 4D's dead. Killing him now.
But that's what I was gonna say is like everyone I know is like, oh, I've been doing BGH for like 80 hours. I've been doing this, and they're like,
Again, that's the thing though. It's like, it's a problem because you did it to an excess. It's like,
yeah, yeah,
I hate, it's like, oh, I enjoy fighting a boss, but now I fought him 10,000 times. I'm just like, well, stop. I know there's a collection log. I know you would like all the boxes to be lit up, but you can, like, that boss isn't going anywhere. We're not going to delete a boss. You can come back to him in like a month's time, and like,
yeah, yeah.
it's fine.
But like for Taskman specifically, it's more of like
Yeah.
it's very fun. Like it's fun to like have that like kind of game mode where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to do this in this order and stuff like that. But every time I'm streaming it, I'm like, oh, I'm really looking forward to X, and then there's always like 2 3 people in chat who are just like, no, the fuck you aren't.
They've got this 1,000 yard stare, like they've just been in Nam. You're just like,
uh,
yeah, no.
yeah, they're like, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do BGH, and it's like, you're gonna have a lot of fun with that one,
BGH killed my wife.
huh? But
Yeah.
like, I'm definitely guilty of things like this as well. I'm doing a one skill at a time account for RuneScape 3 because I haven't seen it done really in
Yeah.
RS3, and I have a lot of fun being a mindless like
Uh,
idiot.
So that kind of thing is absolutely my favorite thing to hear is people coming up with unique and interesting ways to engage with the game, especially if you've like done it all before in the past. Because there is a like Iron Man kind of came from that energy as well of just I want to challenge myself to do things in a way that is like not optimal. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
because like I have a lazy Iron Man system going on where I'll like play I will try do everything I can do, like so I want to be able to beat bosses and stuff like that, but I'm also not gonna like like be like, oh no, I can't use the GE. I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. If I need to go get like 500 of a thing and I could spend
mhm.
2 hours doing it, or I could buy them from the GE. I'm gonna buy them from GE.
So
So I call it a lazy Iron
yeah,
Man.
yeah. Speaking of Iron Man, right? So I take it you play like your character is a main that you have
Yeah.
restrictions on. Okay.
Yeah, but they're personal restrictions. There's no
Yeah.
like active in-game elements stopping me from doing things. It's just,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the same way. Yeah, it's like I played a lot of Terraria. I love that game. Absolutely fantastic game.
Amen.
But after I played through it a couple times, I don't want to spend the first like 8 hours of a playthrough like gathering all the
Collecting
resources just so I can
ores,
go fight
making
bosses.
houses.
Yeah, so I have the cheat engine thing on, so I can just skip to the bits I want to be doing and the challenges I want to
Yeah.
have, and
Or it's
that's
like you play with
like
the mods that's like, oh, easy house, vein miner, magic
yeah,
storage.
yeah,
Terraria cannot be played without magic storage.
yeah. I could partially agree. Magic storage is very helpful.
Yeah. Um but so I was gonna ask you, we brought up Iron Man accounts. Um do you think it would be a good idea to add like game restrictive game modes, snowflake accounts as different modes of the game?
No, and I'm gonna put like three asterisks behind that because it's not really the intent of the situation to like if you are doing a if you are doing a restricted mode or a restricted run of something. I often personally find that they work better when the rules and situations are in the control of the community who want those systems as opposed to it being dictated to you by the game, because when it's dictated to you by the game, it is your job to get around those systems. You want to like find ways to like sneak around them. So like when like
So
so
like with Iron
if
Man, you have drop trading.
yeah, stuff like that. Like people
Yeah.
come up with things to do things and then they justify them to themselves because it's like, oh, it's not the game telling me I can't do this. It's just like if I'm able to do it, it's fine. And it's like that goes against the spirit of what you're doing, obviously.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to things like Nuzlocks and stuff, Nuzlock is the like classic one of it, where
Mhm.
it's like, I want to do a Nuzlock, and then you start doing one and then like it goes horribly wrong, like you're midway through it and it goes horribly wrong, and it's like, oh, all right, if I'm the kind of person who like truly wants this challenge, I should stop and start again. But if I'm a like if I'm like a 35-year-old guy who doesn't get enough free time like after work to like be doing multiple hour long runs of a thing I was enjoying, why shouldn't I just like to like twist the scales to get me back on track so I can try again from where I was, because that'll be more enjoying for me personally, as
Mhm.
opposed to, and that's all personal, like personal people deciding what's right for them. If
Yeah.
you are doing things for accolades and challenges and achievement and stuff like that, that makes perfect sense that you go, no, I need to do it all 0 to 100 with no help and stuff like that. But my favorite example of this stuff is every now and then I see people doing interesting runs in different games where they'll talk about um, one of the speedrun strats for Twilight Princess is like what you're aiming to do is get the lowest percent of like story progress or something like that. You're trying to get lowest percent,
Yeah.
and the way you can do that is you need to do things like spend 12 hours letting your character vibrate themselves through a wall. And I'm not joking. That is
The
part of one
classic.
of this, uh, uh, and it's magical. It's brilliant to
Yeah.
come up with that idea. But if somebody turned around and told me that they installed a mod that let them do that bit quicker, and then they just add 12 hours onto their timer at the end, I'd be like, yes, do that. Fucking Christ,
Oh
do that.
yeah, like why would you
Don't
waste 12
ever
hours of your
actually,
life?
yeah, never actually sit there for
Yeah.
another 12 hours to do that. Like, you've proven your point. That's what's important to
Yeah.
me. It's the same with when I see somebody like talking about if I could like if I can kill everything, if I do one damage with an attack, can I beat all these bosses? And it's just like, if you show me how you can beat, like, do a rotation around this boss multiple times, that it now just becomes a rhythm of doing this pattern over and over and over again until it's done. I don't need to see you literally do every single point of damage to prove that you did this. I'm good. I'm fine with that, man.
Yeah.
So, because I care about people's free time
Yeah,
more than
yeah.
I
No, it's
care
like
about, like,
with Minecraft speedrunning, what's happened more like recently is they generate like what is it, 12 worlds at once or something, and they pick the optimal one
yeah,
to speedrun, which is just
yeah,
like, yeah, sure, go ahead, like makes sense. You would like it saves a lot of time that would just be
yeah,
like a menial task kind of.
yeah. It makes a lot of sense when you look at it from the angle of, I'm trying to enjoy a challenge, not like, not be bogged down by something menial.
Mhm. So, in this aspect of like Snowflake accounts, what is your favorite type of RuneScape 3 Snowflake account?
What's my favorite type? Oh,
In RS3, because a lot of them exist exclusively in OSRS.
hmm. Hmm. I don't really have a favorite. Like, if I had to give it a favorite, it'd probably be Skill Pures, just because I've seen some of the work Mod Stu has done to like enable aspects of that, and it's like it's so interesting to see like the level of polish and like like him just going through things like step by step, like bit by bit, just to make sure it's like, oh, if we do this, then this could be like, now this is available to these kind of players and stuff like that. And it's, so there's like that's kind of rubbed off on me, but like I don't have a like a standout. Oh, I love seeing XYZ style players, because a lot of the times, a lot of these challenges are very personal to themselves.
Hmm.
Like, I know several people who are like skill pures, and they like I've seen a couple of people who are doing like skill pure, but they're only doing one skill at a time, and that's like, okay, that's an interesting extra level on top of it. But
Yeah.
in my eyes, a lot of it is, because of it's all personal achievement, it means a lot more to the person themselves, and so I just kind of like, I'm just happy to see people trying out new and interesting things. Like, I'd be as interested in hearing somebody talk about their whole story about how they went through an Iron Man process as much as a hardcore Iron Man.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And like for me, so like for my experience with it, right? I started playing in October of this year, and I made a character, and I was like, oh, this is cool and everything. And then I proceeded to make a Taskman because I was streaming the game, and people were like, oh, like this is a fun game mode for new players and stuff like that. Because it is fun for new players to show you like the basics of the game,
Yeah,
and
there's
it
two
really like
speeds with Taskman. There's like, you know nothing about this game. This would be an interesting way for you to like try navigate with these restrictions in place, or you know a lot about this game and see how quickly you can do it.
yeah.
It's a fun
And
one.
no, yeah, and for me, it's definitely the first one where I am so slow playing Taskmat. I've been on beginner for 3 months, and there are people who finish beginner tier in 2 weeks, like 2 3 weeks.
Yep, that's just how it's done. Like, people, well, something I would love to see if it could be like, there's definitely work that would need to go into it to help, but something I love watching is bingos. So it's
Oh
when two players, like, yeah.
yes.
So I would love the idea of somehow enabling a way for players to create like a, a bingo challenge of, just, here's like 25 things that you could reasonably do in the space of, say, like 1 to 3 hours,
Mhm.
and like
So
have kind of
yeah.
those kind of races.
So speaking
And
of,
that,
I was planning on doing a bingo challenge with the RuneScape Discord and making it like an official event, and having it like a sponsored thing with the Taskman Discord and things like that.
Mhm.
And this was back in, I think, end of January, and I brought it up to 4D and everything, and he's like, No, because they were planning for the last year to do the RuneScape community event
Yeah.
that's live right now, One Small Journey, which is
He's been
pretty
working his little heart on that one. Don't take it
yeah.
away from him.
Oh no, no, no! It's amazing. I love it. I'm not participating obviously because I'm taking like my break and my own things, but like I'm still following it all, and it's very like fun and it's a very engaging community event. I tried to help out by making like a small little like explanation announcement trailer thing that they linked up with their announcement.
Yeah, I seen that. That was very cute.
Thank you. But yeah, it's um like I'm definitely interested in doing like a community bingo thing and having like prizes and things like that. And I was working on the logistics, which is not easy, of like how to make the bingo work because it's like the main problem with it, right? Is I can't. It's easier to make it everyone has a fresh account to make it an equal playing field, but I'm not gonna tell people, hey, go buy a bond, like go get membership for this guy for this.
Yeah, that is the kind of like crux of a lot of things. Like I've had conversations with creators about like ideas and stuff on what could be done to enable different types of content and stuff because like obviously OSRS has like an abundance of interesting things because a lot of stuff is enabled by having things like RuneLite plugins and stuff to
Mm-hmm.
help make that happen. And so there's a conversation of just how could we enable more interesting things like this? Like if the like complete spitballing right now, but if I could twist somebody's arm and convince them to give me a beta world where I can like build little character, like build a character who's like halfway through setup on something so that they have access to all the things they need to be able to do things, and then we could like wipe and reset these characters. Like, could we do that? And there's conversations happening to see if like that's even remotely feasible
Mm-hmm.
because it's like there's so many layers of systems on top of each other. Yeah, I had yeah, I know the issues you like ran into because we always have this as well when we want to like when a new skill or something comes out and there's a race to 99
Mm-hmm.
and all that. There's already like a hurdle at the start of that is just we would love for you guys to like reasonably race to 99, but that's not like that's how do you say that to a player? It's like no, be reasonable about it, like take breaks, get your sleep in and all that. Meanwhile they're hearing in their back of their heads is like first to 99 must run fast, and
Yeah, but at that point,
it's a
I think
challenge.
yeah, I think as like developers and like as the company at that point, it's not really on you because it's like it's something that has so much prestige with the game and everything that like unless you were to heavily handicap the skill, it's like you can't really do anything because like what are you gonna do?
It just
Set
make it
hard
worse for
limits?
everyone.
Huh?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
see that but that's the thing. There has been plenty of players who have requested we do just that at the start of a skill launch to combat these kind of things, and there has to be some kind of concessions made every now and then when you think about it because it's like if for example when Necromancy came out and we made it so that you would get normal levels of experience up until a cap, and then if you were playing longer, like if you've been playing 8-10 hours straight, you would start getting reduced experience or something like that. That sounds like it solves the problem, but it generates like five other problems
Yeah, that's
because
what I
it's
was
like
gonna say is like
now you've
yeah.
just like ruined like a normal person's like weekend because that's the like maybe that's the one time of the week they get to
Yeah,
play the game they
exactly.
really want to and it's a lot of back and forth on ideas and concessions and just trying to do right by the spirit of the situation. And I'm personally out of the side of where like we shouldn't be adding in restrictions on things that actively make things worse for the majority
Players.
of people
Yeah.
just to enable a niche situation.
What I would suggest is like my best like suggestion for this is like let's say put in a restriction for if an account has been doing the same like gaining XP in the same skill for 24 hours or like for like an amount of hours within 24 hours, right? So like it's been like 24 hours straight this account's still doing the same thing. You'd lock it or something cuz I don't think there's a single situation where someone should be going for 24 hours straight on like gaining XP in a skill.
Uh, I I know for a fact that I've seen several people doing just that because they do like like streaming until I get XYZ thing. So it would be
But you can just limit the XP gain in that case, no? Just be like, oh, you're not gonna like your XP gain starts to like go down because you've been doing it for like this many hours straight.
the headache I find with that is if as soon as we implement something like that, so it becomes an arms race straight away. We go, okay, if you try to do the same skill for even say 2 hours, you try to do the same skill for 2 hours straight. After that second hour, you're going to start getting reduced XP gains. What that means is there's going to become a how do I get around this restriction brought up as quickly as possible. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, if I'm doing archaeology for 2 hours straight, that at a minute, an hour and a half in, I have to like take out a bag of gems and quickly do crafting for 5 minutes to get the timer to turn off. Like,
Yeah, 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 but that's why I'm
people,
saying you should make the limit like 24 hours. Like you really want to set it for like it's not something that normal players would ever encounter. Cuz the problem here is people who are like racing to max, right? So it'd be
no,
like, no?
it's that's not it's not inherently a problem because it is like it's like the thing is if we turn around to somebody and say, oh, it's fine to play this game for 23 hours and 59 minutes a day, it's still just as bad. Like there's a like a time where it stops
Mm.
being like reasonable, and like the time where we could step in and put reasonable restrictions, and the time where it's reasonable for somebody to just like for us to tell them when to stop playing is like they don't cross over as cleanly as you'd like it to be because like reasonably we should probably like need to tell you to like put the game down and go get some fresh air every like what 2-3 hours at worst.
I think that's what the game
And
does.
some
It
people
says like you've been
you
playing
do
for a
that.
while, turn your screen off. Like step
Yeah,
away
you
from
definitely
your screen.
yeah, you definitely get those messages just to kind of keep it part of mind. But like the if we were to like go a step further than that and like actively like we're gonna like kick you for 15 minutes, like player like that would just
No, no, yeah, yeah, yeah.
that'd make my day so much worse. I'd
Oh yeah.
be dealing with that for weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no, it's definitely there's no like easy answer to it, right? It's like
Definitely.
because if there was, other games would have implemented it as well, like WoW
It's
and like
it's
things like
also
that.
a very kind of niche problem in
Yeah, yeah,
like
exactly. It's yeah.
it's not top of the list of things people would ask us to solve.
hmm Was like I think doing like a free to play bingo race. I'm still very interested in doing it. I've kind of put it down for now because, like I said, like One Small Adventure is still running, and like all of those things. And then I was gonna talk to, like, I was gonna bring up discussions about it again.
No, I can absolutely see it happening, and it's like
hmm
I would look forward to seeing like even in a free to play bingo, it would be it would be an interesting experience as opposed to like there's something a bit of a concept I see a lot in circles around content creation is there's like the ideas of like there's different kind of things that are happening all the time. There's the usual stuff that happens like week to week is like people doing series and people doing like chatting about updates and stuff like that. That's kind of commonplace stuff. But then there's a like a step beyond that content where it's like coming up with unique and interesting ideas that haven't been seen or done and like going out of the way. Generally the term I've heard for this is called hero content. It's like when like if you've ever watched different creators, a good example I recently remember was Jimmy. He did a series on playing World of Warcraft, and he like went all in. Like he didn't just like play it for an afternoon and like that could have
hmm
been a video. He went all in and played for like 6 months or something like that, and that's the like step beyond for these things. And I think running a like free to play bingo is already going towards that kind of idea of like not only did I have come up with an idea for a video, I sat down, came up with a system of rules and things, and we like worked through it all together to get a whole thing going. And I love videos like that. They're like
hmm
those are the ones that pop up in my inbox, and I'm like, no, I'll actually sit down and watch that. So it's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
always something I'd love to see.
Yeah, and like my thought with it was like I'd love to make it like a regularly occurring thing if it works well, where it's like every like 3 months or something, we'd run a bingo and like
Yeah.
have
No.
prizes and stuff like that. Because like I love interacting with the community, and I've said it before, but my whole goal with like my content creation and things like that is to make things that I want to see. So like
That is a good
my
goal.
own content is stuff I would like to watch. And, like that's my whole like goal behind it.
Yeah. No, like that makes perfect sense. Like
Yeah.
it like to me it makes perfect sense anyway. And I'm sure there's people who are like, no, no, you should be making the most interesting content. And I'm like, no, I only know what is interesting to me. Let me make things I think is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like I what is it? Like I was like, "Oh, I'd love to like have this series be a thing, like the interviewing JMods and stuff like that and talking to them not just about like the game, but like the discussions we have in general would be very interesting. Like everything we've talked about and like game design, trying to like work around like players who like rush to certain things, even like the game health etiquette of like league and stuff like that. It's very like nice to be able to like get your opinion on this, but also um on like a more like personal level, the whole like a lot of people are very like toxic outside of the game to like devs and Jagex in general and stuff like that. And I've seen some stuff that's like unsavory and things like that, and I like doing this series to be like, hey, human beings, by the way, let's maybe not threaten physical violence against these people for like doing their jobs.
Yeah, there is an element of that, and unfortunately, that is
Hmm.
not like that's not just a RuneScape thing. That is
Oh
a
yeah, it's
gaming in general right now has a unfortunate penchant. Or personally, what I see it as is like there cannot be a middle ground in a lot of things. Everything is a black and white. Either it's like you see this a lot with updates and like new things coming to a lot of games where it's like either the player base 100% love this best thing ever, or it is absolute terrible, should be destroyed,
yeah.
etc., etc. And to try talk to people in that middle area, being like, it gets very hard a lot of the time, and unfortunately, there is. I would imagine it's kind of part of the parcel of how social media has now become a large portion of a lot of people's lives. It is beneficial in a lot of ways to be ancillary because you will get more views and more reactions and more interest into your things when people are angry and stuff like that, and then systems start pushing that kind of content towards you.
Hmm.
It's a whole like take of things. But like to bring it back around to the RuneScape thing, like there a lot of the JMods absolutely adore the community because they want to engage with the community. They make updates and changes and things like that because they are players themselves, and two, like genuinely care about how like they can improve people's day with their game. And a lot of them would love to spend more time chatting away with the people who are being reasonable and helpful, and like people who are criticizing them but being constructive in it. But it takes an awful lot of energy to do that when there are just some folks who just want to be angry, want to argue with you about things. Like it's something I like as part of the role of CM is something I deal with on a daily basis, and I I'm thankful in that from my experiences in the past, I have a quite thick skin for a lot of this stuff. But even there are days where I just like, I load up like I look at the Discord, I look at the Reddit, I look at Twitter, something like that, and I'm just like, I'm just not going to engage with this particular topic right now because I need I need my mental health.
Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know, we have like a section of the podcast that I save for like asking community questions and things like that. And I usually make a poll on YouTube and like in my community tab and on Reddit to get questions. And like some of those regarding them, every time I've done it twice so far, but there's always like what I've noticed a section of people who are just complaining about what's in like the current zeitgeist of the community of like the last time it was people complaining about necromancy being overpowered and how the combat beta looks like it's ruining their skills and how the hero pass is like
And they
uh
were asking Owly these questions.
yeah, okay, to be fair, I didn't say who I was interviewing. I just said I was interviewing JMod. My mistake. I
Yeah,
definitely should have because I got like one question I could ask him out of it. Uh,
yeah, it's a bit
yeah,
of an organization thing because it's just like for those who don't know him, Ellie is our I guess his role is stream manager. So him
yeah.
like he's not over there like twisting combat rates or like improving how necromancy like flows and stuff like that. So he's probably not going to have a great like insight into what's going on there.
Actually,
Like
he
he'll
designed the entire game himself. It's all from
yep,
him. He was 6 years old.
Andrew Gower incarnate
I think he was like two actually, probably when this game came out.
probably.
But yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
yeah, so there is an element of just like sometimes there is like a topic or something in the community that is just like it's
Hmm.
prevalent and it's important and it is important to the community, but like to answering questions around it is kind of like at best a lot of the times you'll get yes or no answers and that's not really what the question was aiming for.
Yeah. And like this time I asked like, hey, I'm interviewing like Mod Azanna, he's a JMod. Like sorry, he's a community manager. And a lot of people were like asking like the most random questions about it. Like,
Go on,
oh,
hit me with them.
are you gonna punish people who are abusing golden eggs from Easter and stuff like that? But it's like I like that's such a weird question because like you're a community manager. I don't think you're in charge of this at all. Like this is probably going to like what
Yep.
player
uh,
reception or
it's it,
whatever.
it would be a joint thing of player support, community
Mhm.
management, and like people who are above all of us to like talk about things like that. And yeah, like to answer that one as best I can, it's like when it comes to situations where things happen in game that are not intended, we first obviously we don't want players to just go out of their way to make the problem worse by abusing it. And anybody who had been abusing things is subject to having action taken upon them. that's that's me being like very politically correct in stating these things because it's hard to like drill it down to specifics because what people want to hear is we're going to do X, we're going to do Y, and we're going to do Z. They want actionable points, and right now I couldn't give you those answers. I can say that it's definitely something that's came up on the radar and we're definitely looking into it, but to give an exact answer of like what is happening, I don't have that right now. By the way, this is my cat. She just jumped up on my lap. Hi, sweetie.
Cat.
She
Here's
this is Cinder. She just jumped up on my lap because she wants attention.
here's my dog. Wait, you
Hey,
can see I'm
doggo.
sitting like a shrimp, but here she is. This is Maggie.
Hi, Maggie. Aw.
She
She's like, let me
sleep.
sleep.
She sleep. No, she loves just sleeping next to me whenever I'm doing anything on the computer. She's like, oh, I will stay here and eventually you'll pet me.
That's the same with these cats. Right, like just like over here on my desk is like two pillows that they like sit on
Hmm.
randomly.
Fun fact, I adopted my dogs off RuneScape.
What?
Yeah, I love this story. So basically, I was mining Bainite.
Hear me out. Hear me out. I was mining Bainite.
I was mining Bainite, and someone just asked in chat, like, "Hey, where does everyone live?" And I was like, "Oh, I mean, I just gave him like the general area. Like, I've said on stream and everything. I live in Montreal, but I told like in chat, I was like, "Oh, I'm from Quebec," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Terrebonne, which is like
It's like
40
2 months
minutes away
north.
from me." And he was like, "My friend's giving away his two dogs because he's getting married and like they don't want to keep the dogs and stuff like that. Do you want to adopt two dogs?" And like we started talking, and I was like, "I mean, I guess." Like, sure, like
Yeah,
I love
if
dogs.
this is legit, yeah, no, give us the
No,
dogs.
yeah, it's like, oh, he added me on like Messenger and we talked. And he sent me like the ad his friend had put up for it, and I was like, I reached out to his friend. He's like, oh yeah, he told me about you, and I'm like, oh, and I went in retrospect. I was
Yep.
way too trusting of this because I just showed up at his house at like 9 p.m. on a Friday night. I
Just click
walked
the
in
dogs. Yeah,
alone
give us the.
and I was like, dogs.
I I can't condone your actions. I'm very proud of you though, because yeah, I do think for the record, the gentleman who was getting married and getting rid of his dogs, horrible person. Just
No, it's because
they're your pets, man.
he wasn't able to take care of them anymore, so he was trying to give them away to someone who could. Because his job also, he works like 12-hour shifts, and like he'd
Now
leave
his
first thing in the
wife
morning and
could
he'd
look
get
after
home at
them.
night.
Nah.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
I
I have nothing against him. Like, he was a very good dog owner. Like, they're very very good dogs, and like they're very happy little creatures.
yeah
I love them very much. My two little
yeah
demons that will forever be interrupting streams.
yeah. Like I completely understand. Like we adopted our first. I have two cats. The first cat we adopted from a person in the area who had taken in several cats that had been all found in like there was like a house in Russia that had like 90 cats because the owner died, and this lady was one of the like multiple people around the place who were like who take in cats on the regular anyway, who took in like five at a time just to like do it out. So we adopted Cinder from her, and then our second cat we had been looking around and we had seen an ad saying that a little kitten had been found out in the woods, like just barely like 10 weeks old at the time, and we were like, yeah, no, him, give us him, he's perfect.
Him.
Yep. Well, he we literally we went to this person's apartment to like pick up the cat, and my girlfriend like was like handed him, and he was so small he just like fit in the palm of her hand, and she just was like, yes, no, this is my cat now.
I am now
Like I can't.
obligated to take him home.
There's no way we could say no.
Oh yeah,
I'm
no.
so glad we didn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, to get back on topic a bit more with RuneScape, what is your favorite kind of community to interact with?
Um, what is my favorite?
Like
They
within
all
RuneScape,
they all have
obviously.
their quirks, and they're in idiosyncrasies. Like fashion scapers are wonderful. Screeny folk are wonderful. Everyone in the official Discord is like wonderful. Like I
Except
cannot.
4D.
He's dead to me now, anyway.
Oh yeah.
No, he's honestly. We had a thing the other day. I noticed how many messages he has actually sent in chat, and it's
Oh
staggering.
yeah, no, no.
Staggeringly
4D
terrifying.
is fucking
It's
amazing.
terrifying.
Oh yeah.
It's
No,
terrifying.
and also just
Uh,
like the help he's given me, like as just like a random person basically. Like he's helped a lot with a lot of
oh,
things.
he's a wonderful, sweet boy, and we will protect him.
Yes.
Um,
He has an
but
unfortunate addiction for Zami feet.
and yeah,
Who
well,
started that, by the way? Sorry, I'm changing. Where the fuck did this come from? Because I am plagued with knowledge.
how did it start? Like TLDR, it's Mod Black Witch's fault. That's the TLDR of it.
How? Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. How long has Black Witch worked for like Jagex? Do you know?
I I believe she was there before I joined up, so more at least a couple years. I don't know exactly when she had started,
Okay,
unfortunately.
because I'm trying to like place this right. Because I've been added to a horrible, horrible place that was called Zami Feet Enjoyers. They gave me a taste. They showed me the existence and then kicked me from it. And now
Did,
everyone thinks I'm insane, but I'm
did
not.
they
It's a real thing.
did they tell you that the picture is in game?
Yes, apparently it's a poster in game.
In ED4.
Yeah, and it's didn't Black Witch like make it?
Yep, and she made several other sexy Majorats.
God. Fun
I am
fact.
also burdened with knowledge.
Fun fact. I did ask Black Witch to be the next guest on the podcast.
If she has the time, I believe she'd be happy to.
Yeah, so anyone who wants
You
to
may
watch
need to
2
get further
hours of
answers. You may
feet.
need to get further answers about why the feet, though.
Yes, I do. I just like, because like the thing is, right? No matter what happens, I'm losing. I'm losing because I'm giving someone a platform to talk about Zami feet, or I'm losing, but by not talking about it and just letting it exist in the wild with no answers, and will forever eat away at my mind.
To wrap it a bit around, you can also blame the RuneScape art community for enabling her and pushing her to make that. I believe they are partially responsible, at least. Again, another fantastic group of
Oh
wonderful,
my god.
unique, and interesting people. But yeah, no. To shout out some other communities, Clue Chasers are fun.
Hmm.
If neurotic on some instances, but generally lovely people. Um, the like I have to like look at the like I have like a list of like discords on my side panel just like going through them. Um Shout out to PMods, they're all wonderful people. Um like it's such a vast group of people as well, but there's so many communities in this in RuneScape, and like the amount of different things they do on a daily basis is just wonderful.
Oh yeah, no. That's definitely for sure. My first real introduction was like the Taskman community. I basically I started playing the game and I just started streaming like right off. And I had a lot of people join who were like, well, a lot of people. I had one person join and he knows who he is cuz he fucking sent me down this rabbit hole. And I think for like 2 weeks he would just say like you should try Taskman. And at some point I
That's how they
fucking
get you.
relented and I tried Taskman.
That's how they get you, man.
And
That's how they
then
get you.
yeah, and then I kind of became the guy who made the rules video for how to play Taskman because I'm like, well, I'm new and I had to go through the rules and everything, and I wanted to do something, and I was like, oh, I'll just make a video on like the rules page. The video is like half an hour long, by the way. That shit is
Yep, and that's
complicated.
the short version.
Oh no, but it's like, hey, you can read 5,000 words rules page. It's
Yeah,
like 9 pages long, or watch this nice video that I made about it instead. And don't
yeah,
go into a schizophrenic episode.
yeah. I'm conscious of time, and I know we've got quite a few questions to get through. So
Yes.
do you want to
Okay.
just start spitfiring them?
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the community questions. So, okay. What assurances can you provide the players that concerns are reaching developers? That's a big one that the
There's a
community
big
has.
one, and the general answer to it is that is my whole, well, not my whole job, but that is like
Mhm.
a large chunk of my job is to make sure that community concerns are reaching the developers, and it is literally a chunk of my day every day to bring up points that people are talking about, like draw back to conversations that are happening in community spaces, bring them up into the devs and get them into their eyeline. And thankfully, because something you all like are aware of is like a lot of our devs are also incredibly active in community spaces, so they are already doing that themselves in a lot of ways. Like shout out Mod Jack, who is like living in the design and lore sections of the official Discord some days, like talking to people all the time about various different things. He is I forget what his actual job title is, but it's like lead something something. So he is
Wait,
on the
really?
ground. Hold on, let me check and see
No,
what
no,
his
no.
actual
I
job title
actually thought he was the guy in charge of writing lore.
is. He is in charge of several things, lore being one of them, I feel,
I
but
hope
not
it is.
all of them.
With the amount of time he
He,
spends in the
there we go.
RuneScape Discord in lore is insane to me.
So his job title is lead designer. So he's right up there with like steering the game's direction at a lot of time. And so
Hmm.
he spends a lot of the time being down right there with players, chatting about different things and discussing topics that are like incredibly complex to try like help people understand what's going on. And I have nothing but absolute respect for him. And so to the point of how do we know that this information is reaching the devs, I can guarantee you that that is how it works. We literally spend a lot of our time reading through player feedback and player discourse to just understand where things are going, because it helps us like it helps us develop the game.
Hmm.
It's something that we're actively working on improving going forward. Like today, even we had the Discord stages chat where some folks were chatting about art. That's something we're looking to do because we want to start having more active conversations with the community in just various different ways. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Um, is old school RuneScape going to become the face of RuneScape and to like some extent just like Jagex because of how much like the support is varied?
Um, Short answer, no. Long answer, both games are the face of RuneScape. Um, the game, like old school is old school. It's been a game for like what, 8, 10, several years now. Don't even know. I
Many.
many years, and so to say that it's like, I guess it'd be like, is that asking Activision is like, or asking Blizzard is like, is Call of Duty not gonna be the face of the company because you care more about that? It's like, it's I understand where the question's coming from, but it's kind of a silly question when you think about it because it's like, no, we are going to continue to make our games because people really want our games to keep going out. And so, but I guess to get to the underlying idea is like, does OSRS get more like more
Support or like more attention from.
in a way, yes, they have a vastly like different sized teams, like, and different resources are being like attributed to them
Mhm.
because that's what a business does. A business like shuffles around resources where is necessary, like where they feel is best used. So like the short answer for the question is no, but the long answer is kinda, but not in the way you're insinuating.
Mhm.
It's an interesting question to be honest.
Yeah, and like the way I'm wording it is really for like what I've heard from the community. It's not my own beliefs at all. It's more that I'm trying to like word it in a way for people who are asking this question actually get an answer that like they're
Yeah,
happy with,
yeah,
which
that's.
yeah.
I doubt they're gonna be happy with the answer because like
Uh,
the headache with it is there isn't a clear yes no answer to
yeah.
that kind of thing.
I mean, I
And
feel to some degree a lot of them would only be happy with an answer that's like, yes, we're gonna take this more seriously and we're gonna give RuneScape 3 5,000 updates by the end of the year or something. And it's like,
my favorite thing, and this happens in every single game I know, it's like the general thing most communities want is just to have unlimited devs, just like pull 16,000 devs out of nowhere and just make more game. And
mhm.
yeah, I'd love that personally, not gonna lie.
All
But
right. So
it's
speaking of, OSRS has a fantastic collection log. Would there be a chance that this is going to be brought into RuneScape?
Could a collection log work in RuneScape? Yes. Is it in development? Not that I'm aware of. But could it be done? Yes. Is it the like top of the pile of things to do? Probably not. It like there are underlying systems that could be updated to like have more of the elements to it, but right now I'm not aware of it being like a top priority. But it is definitely something that ourselves, including suggestions from things like the community hit list, it is something that we've been definitely passing along as like in the future this would be something really interesting that players would like to see more of, even if it's not uh, the like the universal collection log, but just aspects of it, like improving the like having more collection log esque grinds is definitely something that we are thinking about and considering.
Okay. I just want to say, as Taskman, please don't add more collection logs. I am never going to finish them. Help me.
Just tell the task people to stop putting it on the list of things to do.
I wish. All right. Is the mobile client still getting active development? Mod Asher's
Yes.
was a big driving force for it, and there's concern that it's not getting the same level of focus since he left.
So it's definitely still being developed. It's definitely still considered in all of our updates. Like it is like that is part of the reason why updates can take like sometimes because we also are developing them for the mobile and stuff, like things have to work on multiple things. Um Mod Ashers was an absolutely fantastic dev, and again, like Mod Jack, he was down in the trenches talking to people and helping resolve issues specifically around mobile because he had a personal hand in it. So it's definitely not getting the exact same level of focus because he no longer is working with us, but it is not. It's not getting development just because he's gone. He wasn't the only guy working on it, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. So okay, one thing I wanted to ask is you kind of covered it before, but like the difference between your job and Mod Doom's.
So put it bluntly, the major difference between my job and Mod Doom's is we both do a lot of the same things. Like he does a lot of work on blogs and stuff as well, but in general, his role is a lot to be more the front-facing aspect of a thing. So he was particularly brought along to be like taking part in streams and running like things as a host in a lot of aspects. So that's something he owns and manages a lot of the time. Whereas I usually work in the back end of things, making sure stuff gets handled in like the less fun, boring ways a lot of the time. But that's kind of the major difference between our roles. Like, there's nothing to say that he can't do, and he has and like shout out Mod Doom, he absolutely carries like doing tasks when I'm not around. He will like 100% be making sure other things get done. But it's his major focus is usually to be more the front facing aspect of things, whereas I generally do the back end stuff.
Okay.
So like organizing blogs and organizing community related stuff that
Mhm.
isn't like straight up front.
Are there any other community managers for RS3 besides you two?
Yes, but we kind of fall into like different roles. So there's Mod Hooley, who is our like lead. I don't know his exact job title right now, but he is generally more of a kind of he is the like doing all of the like bigger, more grown-up work is the best way I can describe it, which is terrible. No, he handles an awful lot of like the behind-the-scenes discussions with devs, like organizing like the big things, like the systematic systems and stuff like that to like make sure of it. But he is also, when available, down like handling like marketing ideas and like handling blogs, handling stuff. We also have Mod Noms, who is our social media manager, who focuses on making sure that our systems and platforms like YouTube videos, Twitter, and stuff like that all get handled in due time, and make sure they're all going out at relatively like the right times and stuff, and handles our like some of our like strategies on how we showcase content to players and stuff. So that's most of our team.
Okay.
There is other like the thing is there are plenty of other JMods who like dip in and dip out when things are important to them because like there are folks who handle like there's folks who handle marketing and we engage with them all the time because they're doing stuff that like is relevant for us to help as well, so they're helping us with stuff. So there is like a more of a team going on, but generally it's myself, Hooli, Doom, and Noms most of the time.
Okay. Um, are there any plans to create content with RuneScape 3 content creators?
Yes.
Uh,
Short answer, yes. Long answer is it depends. A lot of the time is figuring out what we can do. Something we've been wanting to do more of is bringing creators on to like for like what we did with the necromancy was like bring creators in to like investigate things. I see that face, relax. um, we so like the idea would be to as part of our kind of bringing in more community and player voice into things as we go forward, that would definitely be involving creators in that process as well. So we are looking to do that. The headache I always run up against is by the time it becomes like a good time to include creators in something, it's like usually past the mark for where it could be like easy to engage. Like for example, we asked creator Iron Araxor to create some videos around the combat update because he does fantastic work, and we wanted to showcase some of the combat update stuffs in a quite short focus. And like we chat with him, came back and forth, and worked on it, and because we had approached him kind of like late in when the combat stuff was ready, it was like those things were only going to be ready to go like after it would have been the best time to put them out. So it's a learning process for me personally, because that is something I'm looking to take more part in, is working with the creators on projects and ideas.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Hey man,
enough
I got your
said.
Discord. I'm not gonna lie.
Hello. Okay. So in regards to this, will there be a chance that RS3 creators will voice over statistics and unique data similar to how OSRS creators do it for old school?
I'm not aware of the exact thing they're referencing, because I keep an eye on OSRS stuff, but I don't watch everything they do. But it wouldn't be the furthest thing in the world to have creators pitch into things like voiceovers, or in being involved in like we've been working a lot recently on making more dev diary stuff around about content as it's coming up, so that players can see that, because that was something people wanted to see more of, and I can see a place for where bringing in creators to engage with that as well could make a lot of sense. So I wouldn't take it off the table.
Okay. Um. Okay. So what Wait. No. Wrong question. I can read. Are there any plans on releasing old cosmetics like ceremonial dragon, yak scythe, boogie bow, or walk animations?
In specifics, I don't know, but in general, yes. If you look at like the recent Easter event, one of the biggest things we did was include a whole bunch of the previous legacy items from Easter events in the store. So you were able to get your spring tokens and get access to a bunch of things from previous Easter events, and that's kind of the idea we have going forward, of bringing like older things back into availability where reasonable. So, for example, things like what was it, Boogie Bow you mentioned? I
Mm-hmm.
think that was something to do with one of the I think it was like the 10-year event or something like that. So maybe there's a world where at our next birthday we consider bringing it back available. Then that kind of like where things naturally make sense.
Okay. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Okay, so I have two questions from people from my community. So,
Mhm.
one is going to be, as a community manager, what's the biggest degenerate you've had to deal with who wasn't a rat? And what is it on the opposite side of the spectrum? So, like I don't even know how to word
Best.
that.
So the best person and the worst person I've had to deal with.
Yeah, I guess.
Oddly enough, the worst person I've ever had to deal with has not come from this community, so I can't like
Hmm.
lambast anybody. I know that's a bit of a cop out. um, yeah, no, the worst the worst person I had to deal with for the longest time was in a previous job. I used to do player reports, so players would report things, and this was a person who had, the best way to describe it is, a vendetta against anyone who looked at him funny. So he would report basically everyone all the time for various different things, and then it became a whole thing of people knew that he'd report them for like minor things, so they'd like antagonize him to get reported, and so this was like something I dealt with on a daily basis for literal months of the year, because it was just, that was how that person engaged with things, and refused to like block people and not engage with them. So that I wouldn't call him the biggest degenerate. I understand where they were coming from a lot of the time, but it was kind of frustrating to deal with some days. On the opposite end, the most wonderful people I've worked with, again, I'm going to be cringy and probably have to give some extra credit to the ORS3 Discord mods. They're some of the most wonderful people who absolutely make my life so much easier on a day-to-day basis, because they literally just do so many wonderful and interesting things. Special shout outs to Iceberg, St. Cannon, and Friendly, who FriendlyBot has literally just made my life easier from its existence. So I love that man. So
Yeah, fuck 40, honestly. I'm sorry.
I'll change his name to 5D again.
That was you?
Yeah, that was me. Who else was gonna do that?
For for the longest time, I didn't understand his name was supposed to be like 40 oranges. I just was like, what the? I just thought he was like 4D. Like
Yeah, no, I don't understand where the name came from, and I just every now and then I'd mess with him by changing it.
that's pretty funny. Okay. So what's a like surprisingly wholesome moment you've had in the community?
Oh, oh, hold on. I need to find the tweet then. So, a couple weeks ago, I got tagged in a tweet from one of the wonderful folks over at the RuneScape art community, who just send it to you in Discord, who had drawn my in-game character, and that was incredibly wholesome. But what I realized is they also drew my cat, and when I seen a drawing of my real cat beside my character, I genuinely wanted to cry.
That is
It's
so
that
adorable. I'll put it up on
so
screen for
yeah,
everyone to
yeah.
see.
So shout outs to Ninth Cloud. They do absolutely fantastic work, and they are just the bestest person.
That is amazing. All right. So in terms of the game, what is your favorite quest in the game?
What is my favorite quest? Of the ones I've done on my personal account, because I'm lazy when it comes to a lot of quests, I started working towards Temple of Sintistan for the longest time, and just every time I look at it, I go, I'm gonna do something else. I like get lost in a thing for a while. But I guess oddly enough, I very much have enjoyed the Fort Fern 3 storyline. Mostly that is a cop out though, because I'm picking a whole storyline, and because I've seen it progressing as I've been working on it. So I've like watched like developers talking about it behind the scenes. I've watched people like coming up with ideas and designing things and where ideas came from and all that. So I have a kind of personal connection to it, and it's been the most enjoyable one for me so far. If I had to pick one from ones that I've done in game and played, I I have enjoyed some of the Zanuck quests. I'm not gonna lie, they're very strange though.
Yes, yes, they are. Have you done the Monkey Madness quest?
No, no, it's not high on my to-do list, thankfully.
I did that quest blind, and I think you should do it blind. You should. It's an experience. I don't know how much you hate like monkeys, but it'll like no, trust me. Like you could be indifferent to them. Do the quest. You'll go into a like rabid PTSD episode next time you go to the zoo.
Yeah, people keep telling me I should do one small favor as well.
People keep
I'm all right.
telling me that. So wait, to explain a bit more, I have a donation thing on my stream where if people donate, it adds to like a timer to where I have to do quests blind because I've never done them, so it's
Okay.
blind guideless.
Mhm.
And it oh god, monkey madness. Ah, that quest.
I
I
will.
think it took me 9 hours.
So what you're telling me is I should suggest that we do a follow-up quest with you.
So that was all for the interview. It was not nice. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Please don't add more. Please. God knows I'm gonna have to do it eventually with Taskman.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's how they get you.
yeah. So I have a question from Pride Slayer, which
Oh no,
if no one knows, I'm linking him down below because I love his content. Go follow this man. He's fucking
dude,
good.
he is a wonderful man.
Yes. So he wanted to ask for interfaces like achievements and skills. Can we expect a cleanup on the way, like the way that the Ottoman's interface was changed? Because that looks awesome.
Um, not not right now, but there's definitely room for improvements with a lot of like UI elements. Um, I could imagine similar to how the area tasks got updated. Excuse me. The area tasks UI got updated to be a lot more fluid and understandable when the Tome of the achievements came out, I can see there being times when we do go back and update things as we're making improvements to them. But I wouldn't have anything on the cards right this moment.
Okay.
All right.
Uh,
I'm gonna have to wrap up. So
okay.
give me your best shots or anything you've held back.
Uh, okay. One thing I always like to talk about with Jagex employees is what do you think is the weakest skill in the game? The worst one.
It's not fair because I never do it right, but I don't like farming. It's not
Kind of
fair to
valid.
farming.
Kind of valid.
It's not fair to farming because I also don't do the player owned farm, and everyone tells me that's better and more enjoyable and like is like worthwhile doing and stuff, and I
How do
just
you do
never
farming?
lamps. I'm not gonna lie, I just lamp it.
Then you're not doing the skill.
Exactly. Exactly. I went to start doing farming, got frustrated with it, said I'll get back to it later, and then every time I got given a lamp, I just went, that goes in farming, so I don't need to go back to that for a while. It's literally
I
that's how it's done.
no, that's fair.
I am bad. I accept that I am a monster.
My answer, and I will not rest until like someone at Jagex changes it, is summoning. I really think summoning needs to be changed because the way it is very it doesn't feel like it fits with any of the other skills, if that makes any sense.
Oh, you make that argument for any of them.
No, this one's worse. I have a personal gripe against it, and until I see it get a like Pokemon-esque rewrite, I will not be satisfied.
Do you have a personal gripe from it because you think it could be better, or do you have a personal gripe from it because Taskman asked you to do something you don't want to do?
No, because I think it could be better. Genuinely, like
That's
no joke. I talked about it with the in the interview with Owly. I won't do it now because it's like a like hefty explanation. But I think that like there's a lot of better ways that summoning could be done in general, and it really doesn't make too much sense the way it's set up. Like for me, it's very confusing as like a new player's perspective of like I thought it would be anything except what it currently is.
Yeah, no, I can see how a lot of people's mind summoning feels it would feel better if it was more of the line of like animal handling or something like that, where you're like
Hmm.
leveling up, having a pet or a partner helping you out, and you're leveling that up, and like
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
doing a bit of a Pokemon game.
That's what
And
I yeah.
I have seen several people suggesting that kind of thing, and it's like there there's definitely space for those kind of aspects to be brought in further on down the line, but I am not currently aware of summoning on being on the chopping block.
Yeah. Cuz that's what I was going to say is like have instead of having like 12 different pets for every aspect they do, have one that you can use the current like summoning tokens and things as a level up system for them to like
Mm.
grow them or whatever and they just get better at what they're doing. Cuz like as it stands it's like, "Oh, you want to switch from one summoning pet to the other?" Well, it needs to like you need to go kill a completely different enemy in like bumfuck nowhere for something.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll think
Yep.
I'll end off with this last question of from the new cookbook that got released, do you have a favorite dish or one that you can recommend from it?
I've only seen personally a handful of the recipes in it. So I haven't now. I'm not a big cook myself. I'm capable of cooking, but I'm bad at it. So it's not usually my speed. But there's a picture of the like a baked potato in that I seen when we were doing the article for it, and it is absolute like I enjoy a good baked potato, and that looked like it looked gorgeous. So it's on my to do list when it does come out.
I really want a baked potato now. They're good.
Good
They're
baked
really
potatoes,
good, yeah.
solid man.
Honestly.
Yeah, the racist aspect of the Irish guy saying he likes potatoes, I realize now.
uh yeah, I mean no, potatoes are solid food, honestly. They're just there's so many ways to eat it, you know? Like there's so much you can do with a potato.
Boil them, mash them, put them in a stew.
Eat them raw. Just raw with skin. Just eat it
Oh, like an apple.
like an apple. It's my favorite way to eat an onion. Is just like apparently when I was a
Nah,
kid, I would
nah,
just bite the fuck
nah,
into onions. By
just
the
cut this bit. Just cut this bit quick.
way. No, apparently when I was a kid, I took an onion and I just like ate it whole like that, and then but the thing is, I refuse to have any onion in my food. I hated onion in food.
That's because as a child you bit into a whole ass onion and
No, no, no.
realized
Like
this
as
was
a
bad
child,
for
I
you.
hated onion in food. Like I was like, no, 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 don't give me onion. But I would just eat it raw. I was like, no,
Yeah,
I don't want onions in my food. I want onion in my burger. I just
your parents convinced you otherwise.
uh,
Alright.
God knows. All right, well, thank you so much for your time and for joining me for this hectic, hectic, funny interview.
What do you mean? It's been absolutely on the rails and fine.
Nothing,
We got through
nothing.
all the questions we planned to get through, I swear.
I didn't have
Um,
like half my questions.
it's been wonderful. Thank you for having me.